button.
Oh.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Susan Fennick, co-founder of Juvenile Justice Impact, and tonight we have the utmost pleasure of having with us Amy Marie Merrill, who is the Executive Director of the Cupcake Girls. And Amy brings with her over 14 years experience in domestic violence survivors, as well as the prevention and aftercare of domestic sex trafficking, which sounds to me like a huge responsibility, and I've heard nothing but incredible and wonderful things about yourself, your staff, what you do, how you do it, why you do it, and your passions. And just thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Susan. I was telling you earlier, but I'm really honored. Anytime I get to spend with you is a really important time for me. I'm really honored to spend this time with you because of the work that you do in Las Vegas, but just in Nevada in general for youth that are in desperate need of your assistance, and just really honored that you would ask for me to be here, and thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you. And if you look at her website under Cupcake Girls, the three top leading words are respect, resources, and relationships. Can you tell us a little bit about where did the name of the company Cupcake Girls come? Because what comes to mind with me is I want a chocolate cupcake with vanilla frosting.
Oh, yeah. Great. That sounds awesome. So we have vegan vanilla cupcakes, and I'll definitely bring some over to you. And they have pink frosting, but the pink frosting is vanilla. And I know I said vegan. Trust me, they're delicious. You would taste them and have no idea. My dad, who's a meat and potatoes kind of guy, every single time he has one, he's like, this is really good. And so I'll make sure to bring some over to you. But,
no, I'm sure I would love them because I hate the whole label thing of vegetarian, vegan, but I do my best to almost entirely stay away from animal products.
That's amazing. I didn't know that about you. That's so cool. Learn new things every day. Yeah, we were founded in February 2011 off of a need in the community. We were actually founded in Las Vegas first in February 2011, and then in November 2011 started another branch in Portland, Oregon, which is when I came into the picture. But we were really founded off the need that was coming out of the sex worker community. There are a lot of people in the sex work community that were needing resources, and they were not able to access those resources due to a lot of things, unfortunately, navigating barriers and overcoming obstacles to find safe and trauma-informed services, or even people that are willing to give services to you when they find out that you are a sex worker or that you've been sex trafficked. It's actually really difficult. And stories from our clients of going to a dentist and being assaulted at the dentist when they've heard that you're a previous sex trafficking survivor, and people that have found out that somebody is a sex worker and the person has their kids at the pediatrician, and the pediatrician calls Child Protective Services, and their kids are taken away. And so it was really important to us that we set up an opportunity to create resources that were safe in the community. So we started off by going into businesses in Las Vegas and asking people, dentists, doctors, lawyers, auto mechanics, you name it, if they would give resources to our clients at a discounted or pro bono rate.
Nice.
And then those organizations did that. They donated their professional services. Most of the services that we offer to our clients are completely pro bono because of our amazing partners. And then there are a large amount of them that are also just discounted to an amazing amount. Some people only charging their clients 2% of what they would usually charge another one of their customers. And so with this model and us going into businesses and asking questions, and asking them, how do you feel about sex workers? What are your office protocols for when someone is in the dentist chair? Does the door remain open? Does it remain closed? Things that you wouldn't necessarily think to ask if you hadn't been in a space of trauma before in your life, but when we have heard our client stories, we make sure that we ask specific questions to ensure that there are safe spaces for our clients. And so in the Las Vegas area, as of today, we have over 100 business partners here in Las Vegas. We have 43 partners nationwide, because we do have clients in 23 states, actually. And then we have over 150 partners in Portland, Oregon.
That's incredible. That know, and it's all a reflection of your team's hard work. And what I love about it the most is that you have solutions, because there's so many people that realize that there's a problem, and then they just mostly don't have an idea of how they're going to have solutions like your company. And that is just incredible, because when you have solutions and you're changing lives and you're making a positive impact.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think, too, like, it is the team, absolutely. We're a very bare-bones staff. We have 13 staff members currently, and our program staff is just phenomenal. They work with our clients to provide advocacy for our clients, and they have built out an advocacy program alongside UNLV, as well as the Nevada Coalition to End Domestic and Sexual Violence. And we're able to provide an excellent training to our advocates here in Las Vegas, as well as in Portland, and then also train advocates to do services for our clients virtually. But it's really cool what the staff is doing, because the staff provides an opportunity for the clients to meet weekly with their advocate, to collaborate with them and set SMART goals. Do you know what SMART goals are?
Tell me. I would say they're goals that make sense and are achievable, but I don't know.
Totally. So it's an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based goals.
That's close.
And so a client will come to us and they'll say, you're super close. A client will come to us and they'll say, I want a washing machine. And then we sit down with them and we figure out, okay, what are the steps that we need to take in order for you to get a washing machine?
Wow, that's incredible.
Or someone will say something like, I want to leave my abuser, or I want to exit, the sex trafficking situation that I'm in, or I want to get sober. I want to get my kids back. I want to get my kids out of foster care. What are the things that I may need to do that? And so our team is phenomenal, and they are truly the reason that Cupcake Girls is what it is today. They all push so hard to ensure our clients have absolutely everything it is that they need, and that has built trust within the community. It's very cool to build trust in a community that has a hard time with trust because of the experiences that they've had. And so I'm really honored to have that trust and want to make sure that we do everything that we can to be deserving of it,
Sure, and unfortunately, we have the topic of sex trafficking and youth being sex trafficked was such a big topic at the gala, and I know you were out of town and weren't able to make it, but we had Dr. Christina Vela, who's the CEO of St. Jude, that was there. We had even, our Nevada State Attorney General who was there, and just so many, Liz from Safe Nest, her as well, and just so many people that have so many incredible programs, and it's unfortunate that the common topic amongst so many programs is sex trafficked kids. And I remember doing a show with Susan Roski, former Chief Deputy, Clark County, and one of the things that she was discussing was how children who are sex trafficked wind up doing more time than youth with violent crimes.
It's ridiculous, and honestly, the majority of the time that our advocates are spending is in record expungements, because what happens is a lot of the kids that are in prison for being sex trafficked, which still blows my mind that that's happening, they exit the system and they try to get jobs, and they can't because of their record, whether their record transferred or didn't into adulthood. They still have the trauma, and so they can't because of the trauma. And so Cupcake Girl spends time getting them into counseling, but that's why when I met you, I was so excited about the work that you're doing, because if we do not have people on the front lines advocating for these kids in the system, we are not doing what we should be doing as a community. And so it's really an honor to just watch you do what you do.
Thank you.
these people. It's important that they're seen and that you talk about them and you make sure that they're lifted up and you don't let people forget about them. And I think that's so important.
Thank you so much. We had an incredible year last year with regard to prevention programs, and the different topics that we were covering were, whether it was Healthy Minds was one of the workshops that we did, and we had probably 2 or 3 CEOs of mental health counseling programs, as well as different executive directors and so forth. And I just remember thinking, we have as many speakers here as we would normally have at a gala, but it was just it was incredible how the entire community came together, and we had these workshops at the Richard Steele Foundation, and the Nevada Metro Police Department showed up, and the Police Athletic League showed up, and so many people showed up to talk to these youth about, if you ever had suicidal ideation, or if you're ever depressed or have anxiety, if you know someone, doesn't have to be you, if you know someone who is feeling like a youth who wants to take their life, or anyone, how do you handle it? And that was just a small example of what we're doing with our programs, and with the programs that we're going to be coming up with. We're still wrapping up from the gala, and once we entirely wrap up from that, I still have some awards that I would like to still hand out, and I'm still going to be meeting with Maria Novello, the CEO of Nevada School of Professional Studies, and
amazing.
Yeah, so I still have to I still need to give all of the chaplains that were there their candles and certificates of appreciation, but we knew that we wanted to plan that after Thanksgiving. But what I would like to do, coming up with 2022, I would definitely like to find a way that we could, work together and support together and make a difference together.
Absolutely. I'm totally on board. And something I've been wanting to ask you, actually, I was curious, when you are working with the individuals that you are you seeing a correlation to people coming out of the foster care system and then into these sex trafficking experiences?
They're like, one has to do with another. It's called comorbidic, right? If you have a person an at-risk youth, they're going to typically wind up in trouble, whether it's just a small infraction, or if it winds up being a large one. I know that when I was working in the secure and non-secure and foster homes, they were just so intertwined. Maybe there wasn't a bed open at the non-secure facility, so they would put them in the foster home, or there was beds open in the secure facility, and they would take them out of the foster home and put them in the secure facility to keep the beds filled, because I can't tell you how many times I've been told by directors and people running these facilities, if the beds aren't filled, we don't get paid. So we're going to over-medicate, over-violate, and no matter whether they're a foster child, they're in a non-secure or secure facility, it's almost like they all blended, with the exception of a youth that's done a very serious, hard crime.
Right.
So to answer your question, they're kind of all intertwined, unfortunately.
Right. We're seeing quite a bit at the Cupcake Crawls. We're seeing a large percentage of our clients are coming directly out of the foster care system, and since we're seeing it with us, with 18 plus, I was curious about that with you, and that totally makes sense. And I'm interested because we're doing currently finishing up a study with UNLV, and then also with UNR. They're doing 2 different data studies on our client population and their histories, and just trying to get data from that, and I'm curious to see what it turns up. I'm definitely going to be sharing that with you, but so far it's the last review that I was doing with the UNLV study, it was 3 out of every 4 people that were trafficked that were in the study were coming out of the foster care system.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at youth, 1 out of every 3 that is in the system drops out of school. I mean, that's astonishing. But when you see these youth going through these facilities, their inspiration drops. Their whole outlook on life, their self-esteem, their just everything, just completely depletes. And then you throw in the whole education component, and I can't tell you how many times I was speaking with the youth and they didn't know what grade they were in. And
totally.
I remember the first time a youth had told me that, I kept thinking to myself, oh, I don't know what grade you're in. But then I realized, because it was like my first week of being in the, Department of Forensic Mental Health, and what I learned was these youth, they go into one facility and they test with whatever school system they're involved in, and they have little respect. Their self-esteem is so low. So when they're testing for these school psychologists or whoever it might be that's in charge of this type of exam, they're not putting in the same amount of effort and thought because they're locked up. And then, they'll get transferred to another facility and the same thing happens and they might test into a different grade. And then they go into another facility and they might test into another grade, regardless of even if the records transfer, they still have to get tested per their school district that's in the facility. And that's how they don't know what grade they're in. Or they just get so socially promoted that they're like, wow, I'm in like 7th grade now.
It's wild.
And that's a whole other topic. I don't want to take away from what your company is doing and the amazing work that you're doing in our community. But how do you, I would like all the listeners to know that the Cupcake Girls were very supportive in the Juvenile Justice Impact Gala that we just had a few weeks ago, November 6th, and you donated a Golden Knights hockey stick, which I forgot to even tell you that someone bid on.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah. I was like, God, how could I have forgotten to tell her about that?
That's fantastic. Oh, I love that so much. And yeah, it was so fun to miss it. But I'm so glad. We want to make sure that we're supportive of all of our partners, and especially the work that you're doing is so important to our clients. And it's interesting because you bring up like the intersectionalities of oppression, and that's what we see too. And we're seeing a lot of intersectionalities of oppression with the race-based oppression as well as mental health and physical health challenges with food and housing insecurity and things like that. And so I'm excited to step into this next year and really be focusing on, all right, who are our partners in those spaces, and then how can we lift up their voices as well, because the work that we're all doing is so intertwined, because the oppression that our clients are facing is so intertwined. And so it's that saying, a rising tide lifts all ships, and we need to make sure that we're all working together to lift each other up in our communities as we're really working on, not only illuminating, but just eradicating these issues.
We had Maria Novella, who's the CEO of Nevada School of Professional Studies. She, now it's like become an annual special event that she does for us. And so last year we had Judge Boy and Jack Martin, who picked out a youth to have that $10,000 scholarship, to have an education component that they might not otherwise have. And this year she came up with the idea. She goes, I got an idea, since Dr. Christina Novella is going to be there, or Bella, and she goes, how about we write the $10,000 check in partnership with Juvenile Justice Impact to St. Jude for their healing center.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so we were at the gala, and I was like, Dr. Christina Novella, please come up on stage. We have a huge surprise for you. And she's like, oh my God, it's just so awesome. So what we're going to do is, she's taking the time right now to pick out which youth in her healing center is going to take this award, and then I cannot wait to go meet this youth.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that, Susan. And this is the kind of legacy, that you have, is really working to make an impact on the community, and the heart that you have for these individuals. It's important. It's really important. I want to encourage it in whatever way I can. I think you're doing a phenomenal job of not only working to uplift the work that you're doing individually, but also the work that everyone else is doing too. And I love that you see that you see the intersectionalities of oppression, and you're like, all right, so Cupcake Girls is doing this, St. Jude's for Children is doing this, Safe Nest is doing this. How can I make sure that I'm lifting up their voices so that we all have a seat at this table as we're working to eradicate this? And I honestly think that's the only way that we're going to be able to create any change is through togetherness and through community. And saying no to our egos and yes to leaning in and yes to victims and survivors first. And that's what you're modeling, and I'm honored to work with you, truly. Oh,
thank you. The feeling is mutual, and if I didn't feel as though I was making a tangible difference, we wouldn't even be talking right now. I just feel that if people like to talk, but I like people who talk their walk. And did I say that right? And, we are all, like all those names that we just mentioned, you mentioned, we're all on the same page. I speak to Maria and Christina often, and we're going to be, together finding ways to collaborate, and definitely you're on the list of people who we should get together. I think what we need to do is pick a day, sometime within the next month or so where we can all just sit down and be like, okay, we all have these great things. We're all doing great things. What more can we do to even make a difference even more?
Yeah. And I mean, looping in, I know Shade Tree is amazing. Linda Perez.
Right. Yeah.
Beth Flory over at Safe House. She's phenomenal. Danielle over at, they were called Rape Crisis. I'm trying to remember their new name. But sorry, Danielle, I forgot the name. but she's amazing. She's so amazing, and I'd love to just get all of us continue to just look at these issues and make sure that they're lifted up for sure. I love that.
I mean, between all of us, we have a toolbox that is just so full of tools that we can use to, you do what you do, and I'm, we all have a separate interest in what we're doing. However, the common theme of everything of what we're doing, there's just such a big piece of the pie that is nearly identical for what we're all doing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And then we just pick that piece of pie that we all have a 100% common interest in, and see what we can do since we're all on board. We're already on board. It's not like we have to sit back and be like, all right, who do we have here in the community? We know each other. We see each other. I met you at Catherine Trivoletti's fashion show. Was it last month? And that was incredible. I love her. She's like family, and that's how I met you.
Yep. Danielle's at Signs of Hope.
Okay.
Signs of Hope is amazing. Oh my gosh. They do so much for survivors and victims of human trafficking, and I'd love to have Danielle at the table. She's fantastic. She's truly somebody I'm honored to be in connection with. So I remembered the names. I just wanted to make sure I said Signs of Hope. She's just fantastic. And
what would be a good idea too is that we have the podcast going, so people out there in the country, the world, whoever's listening can be like, oh wow, this is how they're collaborating. This is, Cupcake Girls does this. St. Jude does this. Juvenile Justice Impact does this. We got Safe Tree, Shade Tree, Signs of Hope. And so other people listening can be like, oh, they could use it almost as a model.
Yep. I love that so much. That's fantastic.
So we can have people listen in, and I don't know if there's a way to have it like live, to have other people dial in or not, but I don't know. We'll come up with that. That's a good problem. We can figure that out down the road. Tell us about some of your upcoming ideas for 2022.
Yeah, so right now, really, we saw such a rise in need with 2020, and I think something that a lot of people in the helping professions are experiencing is staff burnout.
Yeah.
And so we're really looking at what types of trainings that we can provide our team to make sure that they are receiving secondary trauma training. They are receiving it often. And so we have this amazing resource that I can share with you. A woman named Emma, and she actually was doing secondary trauma training with advocates of people that were coming out of ISIS concentration camps.
Oh,
and she was working with those folks herself, and then also training the advocates. And she has this phenomenal program that really teaches people how to build rhythms of care for themselves, and resiliency loops in themselves, because we're always going to be seeing trauma in our lives. Everyone has some sort of trauma, right? But what matters is how we're building up loops of resiliency in our lives, and building up ways that we can really remember who we are, why we're here, and how to continue to be here well, so that when trauma does happen, we're able to handle it effectively, efficiently, and in a really healthy way. And so we're working on that. And then also we're building up our counseling program.
Nice.
We have a lot of clients that come to us and they are needing counseling, and they don't have the funding in order to provide counseling for themselves. And so we're consistently taking on more and more counselors who are donating their time to our clients, and something that we've been seeing is the need only gets bigger the more counselors we have.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, so we're working on really spending time with that program and making sure that it is exactly what it needs to be for our clients. And I'm excited to be talking about that more in the year, because the stigma that's placed on the survivors and the victims that we work with, it creates considerable barriers for a lot of things, like accessing resources, but also for reporting victimization and gaining access to health and societal resources. And so we want to really be spending time on caring for our staff, ensuring we have the counseling available for our clients, and then also building up our partners for our clients. And I'm excited. I think that this next year we're going to see a lot of sustainability in a lot of different nonprofits, because I'm hearing a lot of people working on the same things. People are like, before I add any more programs, before I open any more buildings, our staff is struggling. I'm hearing that from a lot of people all over the United States. And so I love that people are spending time building up their teams. And I'm excited to do the same thing.
No, I mean, seriously, what a director or a CEO, owner, founder, however the title is, how they treat their staff is how they're going to get treated in return. And, you see the companies, I've seen companies, they give the whole Thanksgiving week off. They give the whole Christmas week off. They realize people are traveling. They've got people traveling to come in. And those kind of companies, they keep their staff for a long time.
Yeah.
And they give them incentives and treat them well and show them the respect that they've deserved by doing all of the hard work that they do. And I've seen burnout several times over the years, and it's in part due to not feeling valued within a company.
100%, or really becoming just another number. And people need to. Something that I think about a lot is the time and the care and the culture that I'm building with my staff. That trickles down to our clients. And so if the culture within executive leadership and within our staff is not healthy, the staff is not good, they're not rested, they're not cared for, they don't have rhythms of care in their own lives, that will trickle down to advocacy. And so what is the culture that we're creating within our organization to build sustainability and to build resiliency within the lives of our clients? And but I think that comes through if we continue to be survivor and victim focused. And if you continue to be survivor and victim focused, you always want to make sure that you're caring for your staff, because you want to see the best quality of work come out to your clients. And so
when they feel great about themselves and feel great about what they're doing and being tangibly shown how important they are and what they're doing, then they're going to give that same level of respect back to whoever is in front of them, whether it's a coworker, a client, anyone.
Absolutely.
I never asked you, how did you become the executive director of Cupcake Girls?
I've been here a really long time. I started with the Cupcake Girls in February 2012, and so and I started in our Portland branch, actually, and I ended up starting a few months after it started in Portland. So the branch started in November 2011. I start February 2012. And the Cupcake Girls as a whole had started just a year before I came on board. And so I started as a volunteer, actually working at an advertising agency called Wyden & Kennedy. Wyden & Kennedy, little fun fact, wrote Just Do It for Nike and created the swoosh for Nike. But they're a fantastic organization, and they were really encouraging people within their community, their organization, to volunteer their time. And I have had multiple experiences where I've experienced folks in the sex work industry as well as people in sex trafficking having horrific experiences. And so that quote of like, once you see something, you can't unsee it. You just can't. You know that it's happened, and you have to make sure that you change your life accordingly. And so I ended up hearing about the Cupcake Girls, the work that they were doing, and donating 30 to 40 hours a week of my time on top of working full-time at my job in advertising to the Cupcake Girls for years. And then about 4 years into donating my time, I was hired on as staff and then became the city director of the Portland branch, and then executive director of the Oregon Southwest Washington area. And then in March, I moved to Las Vegas to head up the Las Vegas and Oregon branches, and now I am over the organization, which includes Local for All, which is a project of the Cupcake Girls, which will be a holistic resource center on 110 East Charleston in the Arts District. Nice. And on the left side of the building, we're going to be having Cupcake Girls offices as well as a few spaces available for our partners. And we're also going to be having an office off-site so that folks who are not wanting to be outed as sex trafficking survivors or folks in the industry, they will still be able to keep their anonymity since it is kind of a public space. But on the right-hand side, we're going to be having a market and some pop-up local makers that will be in that space as well. So I have some news that we'll be sharing with that mid-December. But yeah, that's a little bit about me and how I'm here. But truly, I really care about these people. I really care about the clients. I really care about the people that we serve, and I'm really honored to be here. And I really think that it would be my pleasure to continue this work and try and work myself out of a job, right? Try and make sure that I work as hard as I can to ensure that there isn't sex trafficking, that there are resources available to folks in the adult entertainment industry, that people don't have to be scared to go to the dentist, they don't have to be nervous about going to their pediatrician, but they have safety and freedom in their lives, and folks can live free of oppression and stigma. And so that's why I'm here. I'm excited to continue in this work.
Well, you have a heart of gold, and we're all lucky to have you, and you've changed the lives of countless of at-risk youth, underserved youth and their families, and sex-trafficked youth and the families that are affiliated with them. And I'm so excited to know that we're all going to be getting together offline, or maybe we'll put it online, and find ways that we can come together and make this next year coming up even stronger than we'd ever even believed could be possible.
It'd be my pleasure, Susan. Anything with you, I know is going to be gold.
Oh, thank you. Well, is there anything else that you would like us to know about your incredible self and your company?
I guess I just would say check us out online. We have an Instagram account, CupcakeGirls.org is our handle. And then you can find us online at www.thecupcakegirls.org and learn a little bit more about us. And if you're interested, please become a monthly donor. Give up one coffee a month, $5 a month, and it makes a huge difference in the lives of our clients.
To say the very least. And we could be found at www.impactjji.com. We have Dr. Susan Fennick Facebook and Dr. Susan Fennick official Instagram, which also we have JJI as well. And we're all going to be coming together. We're all going to be making a difference. And I'm so proud of you. Not only to know you as a friend, as an advocate in the community, someone who's a change agent, a beautiful mom. You're just the all-around person, and I appreciate so much having you in my life on so many different levels. I just have so much respect for you and admiration for you and who you are as a person and everything that you're doing in our community.
Oh, thanks, Susan. I feel the same. Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here. I appreciate you.
Thank you. You too. And I'm sure we'll circle around and we'll talk again online and have everyone know some of the up and coming events that we're going to be having. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited for all of us, really.
Me too. It's going to be a good year. Come on, 2022.
Right? We're going to beat it. We're going to make it all happen. So, thank you so much, and we will be in touch. I'm sure we communicate frequently, and we'll talk soon. And again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for everything that you do. We love and appreciate you, and look forward to the next steps forward.
Sounds great. Thanks, Susan.
Thank you. Bye-bye.